Welcome to
Geek. Oh gosh, this is gonna kill me. I can't do it. Wait, what's my part again? I already lost it. Wait.
Welcome to Gig Life Pro.
Artist on artist interview.
Hi, I'm Xani, and that is spelled Xani. And I am tuning in today on Wurundjeri lands. I'm on stolen lands, and I just want to really quickly pay my respects to First Nations people, past and present. I am a violinist and a musician and a songwriter and a composer. I started playing violin when I was 6 years old and haven't stopped since. And now I use violin in any type of music. I like using electronic effects pedals and live looping, and have, the last few years gotten stuck into producing my own music, and don't like to let my instrument stereotype me. So I have, started in classical and then went to jazz and some Celtic and bluegrass and played in a metal band for a bit, and now I've just ended up in the world of EDM and dance pop. That's me.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I heard that. I was hearing that when I was listening to your music. I was like, this woman's going everywhere. And I think that's so cool. I think it's so cool for you to be able to jump and be who you want to be. Like, we're not one-dimensional. So I think it was really cool listening to you like that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, I think that a lot of times in the past, people have said you've got to be one genre, if you've got to do one kind of thing, and a lot of artists have pushed against that. But I feel like we're coming into the genre fluid era, maybe. So
like genre-less.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Anyway, introduce yourself.
Get ahead of ourselves. It's actually, this is like a really cool thing that we're going. I thought we were going to be doing it in person, because it would have been such a cool delight to be face-to-face doing this, connecting in that way, but I'm very glad to do it over this way as well. My name is Strictly D.T, also known as Decial, like special.
Cause this game's got me stressed out, love hip-hop, but to make it you gotta sell out. Guess we come from a different route, I rap for respect, they rap for the clout.
A tiler by trade. I've got my own tiling business called Tyler the Creator. I am a MC, I'm a poet, I'm a writer, and a performer. I've been doing it professionally for over 10 years, but I've been writing since I think I was about 8 to 10. So never took it anywhere until I moved over to Perth, and there was nothing else to do there besides write. So it was, that's basically, I was born in Seattle, Washington, and then I moved over to Perth to finish off my school years and then continue on finding a trade and becoming who I am today. So I was listening to your album, and An Accurate History of Electronic Dance Music.
Yeah, that's the one. That's my album, yeah.
Yeah, Astrojet, first and foremost, was my favorite.
Oh, awesome. A few people have been saying that, and I'd love to, get your thoughts on it, because one of the things I wanted to do with this album was work with lots of different producers.
Yeah.
And that was one of only 2 tracks that I self-produced. So I took a lot of the things that I'd learnt and put it into a track on the album that I did myself. So I did all the beats and all the parts.
Whoa.
Like most of it's violin, but I also put a few beats. And I did want to ask you about with your album, do you produce your own material? Do you do your own beats? Do you find samples, or how do you work with all the sounds that are out there?
Trust me, I have no patience in producing. First and foremost, I am so illiterate when it comes to any type of. You saw I was late to the thing because I couldn't figure out how to get the link into the. I don't know. I'm just grateful that I know how to record myself as much as I know how to do all the other stuff. I feel like I wasn't around enough producers to teach me and then me go get my own stuff and do it. But no, I think the only thing I'm really good at is arranging. So if I hear something, I can take bits out, or I want you to cut this bit out and really produce that way. But hearing producers go through 1,000 snares sounds like the worst thing that I go insane. I go insane listening to myself. Like when I'm listening to myself over and over again, I have to stop because I'm like, I get tired of my own voice. So
yeah, it is true. But I think the thing that was so interesting for me working with all these different producers is seeing how they all work so differently. And sometimes I went, I couldn't possibly produce, you know, I haven't gone to a producer's university or anything, but then seeing how everyone just does it, and like at the end of the day, it's just just using your ears and listening to what sounds good. But I don't know, I feel like if you're really good at tiling, like it's layers, isn't it? You know,
layers with this like in line. I actually never thought of that. That's hilarious. That's so funny. No, I might have. I've been itching to do something like that creatively, but I think in this moment right now, if I add another hobby, my wife is gonna kill me. So I'm like really pushing it with being a hip hop artist in itself. But yeah, I wanted to ask you because I mean, from you doing this from like you said 6.
Yeah, I started violin when I was 6,
6 years old, going up to, you know, touring and even working, like being in the Twox, which I thought was an amazing duo, by the way.
Oh,
the first thing that popped into my head, which I didn't hear anyone else ask you, was like, why the violin? Like, why didn't you pick the tuba for some reason?
Yeah, well, it was kind of weird because when I was in prep, I saw a couple of kids playing the violin at my school and like they weren't my close friends or anything. I just saw them, and my family, like no one in my family is musical. So I had just gone to school, seen this instrument, and then I went home to mum and I was like, I really want to play the violin. And she was like, no, you don't. You're just looking at some kids picking it up and now you want to do it too.
You like the idea of the violin.
Yeah. And this was when I was like 4, right? So then it took me 2 years for her to finally go, all right, she keeps bringing up that she wants to play this violin. Like she has not let it go. And so mum said, all right, let's do it. But at my school, the teacher of violin was teaching the Suzuki method, which is a method that's like mainly oral training, and you do everything by ear. And parents have to go to all the lessons.
Ooh.
So my mum could at that time, like she wasn't working during that time. She was bringing my sister and I up. And so she came to all my lessons. So in a way, we got to learn about music and the violin together, which was really nice. Like
that's so good.
Yeah. And she's creative. She's a visual artist and like does lots of things. And so she'd always help me think outside the square. And she was the one who said, let's go and see this Irish violinist and let's go and listen to some jazz violin. Like she just kind of opened my mind. So I don't know what it was about violin, but I just was like so hell-bent on it. Yeah.
It was the calling. That's amazing.
All right, I want to ask you a question because I think we have some mutual friends, but I want to ask you about Halo Vocal Ensemble.
Oh, yes.
Because I've got my album launch coming up and one of my special guests is Leona. She's
no, it's not.
Yes.
No, it's not. That's my sis. Wow. That's so she's supporting you?
She's getting up to sing one of my songs. Like she was like, I love this song, Xani. And I was like, I would love you to come up and sing it. So she's going to jump up in my set.
She's the best. Oh man, I love that she's so connected. She's been here. She's in this, like she's the root of this scene, I feel.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Having her create Halo was, you know, so creative in itself. Like it goes deeper than like, you know, putting a bunch of people together to sing a few songs. It's like we're all individual artists. She sees how hard we work. She knows how talented we are, and she put us together piece by piece and put us in sections that she knew we shined most at, and put us on stage together.
That's so beautiful. That's amazing.
I moved to Melbourne like 4 or 5 years ago. Even now, I'm so new to this scene. you know, people are telling me about venues and all this, and I'm still like, yeah, I'm trying to look it up. Like I've been here. And when I first moved here, I was doing open mics, and the open mics led me to, you know, one person to another person. And then Alex from Let's Vibe had said that him and Leona were doing this thing for a Let's Vibe event, and that's how I met her. And ever since then, we've been, like, from the very first Halo gig, I've been there as many times as I can be there.
Yeah,
because it's
awesome.
so much fun.
Yeah, it looks like an incredible ensemble to be a part of, and yeah, they're amazing. So, like, have you done other collaborations, like, with some other artists since you've moved to Melbourne?
Yes, yeah. Well, the album that I've just released, Decial Like Special, self-titled, that has so many collabs. I've been in a transition from, I used to be under a indie label, which is less than a label and more like friends that have created something to create something. And he was older than me, and he was trying to teach me about the industry, and it wasn't like aligning with what I was doing. But because he was older, I listened to him, and I was like fully going against my intuition, and it all fell apart and crumbled. So it took me a lot of unlearning. You know, one thing was like, you know, stick to one producer, create the whole album, do that. And I was doing that. And now this time I kind of wanted to just break all barriers and just collaborate with everyone that I knew, that I've been meeting throughout these years, that I know are talented and could definitely show justice to each of these songs. So since moving here, I've met people like Jimmy Harwood, Jace Beatheads, who is, I would say, I think he's like second generation hip hop. So since hip hop has come out in New York, it's 50 years old. So technically, you've got generations of the first generation would be, you know, Africa Bambaataa and Kool Herc and all that, right? And then you got second generation, which would be like KRS-One, and you know, I can list them all off. So in Australia, when it came out, that's where it started. Like, you start where you start, and that's their second. I think I would be considered third or fourth generation hip hop in Australia.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. He's like second, and he did a collab album as well, Jace Connections, and that went really well around Australia for the decade or so ago. So being able to connect the old school heads with new school heads and kind of trying to, because I feel like I'm in the middle of them, just kind of combining and bridging those gaps that we have with new and old. And I know that they've been saying that hip hop is a young man's sport, and as hip hop gets older, it's starting to dead that narrative a bit more. So
right.
I really wanted to collaborate with everyone from the elders to our youngins to the new kids. Like, I can't think of everyone that's on it, but like, you know, Halo Vocal Ensemble has been on it, Nomad has been on it, on the album, and these guys are all like new singers or rappers that are so talented, and they work so hard at their craft, and they're at the stage, a few of them are at the stage now of why haven't I blown up yet, and why haven't I, you know, got the recognition, and they're still learning that it's not about like not blowing up yet, because I think they're in the same mindset that I was, which was like, if I reach an age and I haven't reached this type of plateau, like, I'm gonna start going down, and it's not the case.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I didn't know that was part of the hip hop culture, the ageism thing, because like I definitely feel it as a woman in pop, you know, like I'm 36, so I should be like retiring from pop music now. But obviously I don't want to do that. But yeah, I'm not doing that. I can't make music anymore. I'm so
You know what you should do, right? As like I mean, this is just my head running, but like, you know what you should do though is like show up to a gig dressed like all in like granny clothes and walk out, and then just start rocking out to like metal. That would blow.
I know. I literally, like, a few of my creative director friends, we were brainstorming that, because, you know, like even Bad Grandpa and from the all that stuff. I was like, come in like, and then because I'm quite like energetic when I'm moving.
I wanted to ask you though.
Yeah, cool.
Is there some, like, we've been speaking a lot about like hip hop and what's kind of, you know, ageist in it and all of that. I was wondering if there was like something that was stigmatized in your field. You know, for example, like rappers they get looked down upon as coming across as fake, or if they have ghostwriters and all that. I was wondering if there's anything in that sense.
I think because I don't really belong in a genre all the time, I never kind of feel that a lot, but I do know that when I was doing jazz, that was one, it was already a bit crazy that I was a violinist playing jazz, so they're a bit like there's some competitions in this country where they're jazz competitions and I couldn't enter because violin is not allowed, you know. Really?
Is it not considered included in jazz?
Yeah, even though it has a history, like there's Stefan Grappelli, Stuff Smith, Joe Venuti, Eddie Lang, like Jean-Luc Ponty, there's so many, Regina Carter, you know, so many jazz violinists. So there was that, but also as I was growing up, and it's still the same now in this country with jazz, there are more men than women or non-binary gender fluid people in jazz, and it is a boys' club, like it's pretty exclusionary. And then I guess like I suppose I was more in like the indie pop kind of world, and I definitely feel the ageism thing is big there. But also I've found it a bit of a struggle, like in a classist way. Like the pop world is full of a lot of people who have a lot of money, and they are able to get access to a lot of opportunities that I would not get. I just don't come from wealth, you know, and I didn't realize it for a long time because it's kind of invisible, but it's definitely a thing. I
feel that pop, right? Because I mean, if you look at it, like Beyonce's pop, all like Taylor Swift is pop, all of that is, I mean, short for popular. So if you think about it in like a school thing, a high school thing, you know, the popular table. You've got these people that are superficial. They've got the makeup. They've got the new shoes all the time, and they've got all of the. It's like that look where everyone, like you have to hold up a certain type of look to be able to, you know, fit into the thing. I mean, it's like Mean Girls kind of thing, like, you know, kind of losing who you are as a person to fit into this mold, because majority of the people want to be those people. The Kardashians, for example, is another one. Like we know that that's what majority of people want to do, so they're going to follow that trend because they want to stay in that realm.
And then it kind of gets so homogenous, I think, because it loses itself. Like maybe, you know, what Taylor Swift or Beyonce may have, like some output is like quite authentic or quite raw or whatever, but then because they are part of like such huge teams, they would then have to repeat that format over and over, and you get that homogeneity or just selling stuff. It's just commodities.
It's
really
a statistic type of thing rather than like trying to do new things. Like that's what what labels try and do. They're looking at the numbers, or they're like, and people who are creatives are trying to create something new, whereas they're trying to recreate something because they don't have that creative mind to be like, you know what, we really want to go for something a little bit pink, pinky, or some sort of some sort of pop star that everyone loves, where we know that never works. It never works like that.
It's so refreshing to chat to you about this. Like, I feel like we often, I have chats with lots of people in the industry, but it is a different thing when you get to chat to an artist about it and just realize that, this is why we do this. It's because we've got this calling to do this. We love it. We've got things to say. And then we're also trying to like share that message with our communities. But everywhere you kind of turn, there's gatekeepers. You got to get through them. And I'm just like, sometimes I just don't need that. I just want to go straight to people. And so it's nice that that we're having this chat.
This is why when they told me the idea of this thing, I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, not only do I like learning about other people, and when you're walking down the street, right? Or you're driving or whatever, and you look to someone, you'd be like, I really want to know what your life is about. Where are you going? Why are you, like, are you in a rush? Or, that kind of feel. I felt like this when I got this opportunity. I was like, ooh, I get to really learn about someone I've never met before, who's in another genre, You know, there's like all of that kind of stuff. That's why, like, when they sent me the questions, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm gonna find. I'm sure I can find some questions that I've been wanting to ask someone in a different realm, in the same industry, but in a different realm. And yet we're still connected. I mean, Leona is a really close friend of ours. Like, Amari, her daughter, is like, she stays the night at our place. You know, like, it's cool. We're very close, but we're still different in different worlds.
Yeah, I think, you know, after this, we are connected. We have a bond that, like, is like no other bond that I have. You know, it's just, it's a really beautiful thing.
Newfound respect.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask before. I know we're probably going way over time, but I wanted to ask. This was a question that I thought. I don't assume this is something that you do, but in case you do, I wanted to ask. Hold on. What is something you may have had to unlearn in the last few years of being a musician?
Well, I guess this actually links mostly with COVID for me. As a freelance artist, my greatest fear is, what if there are no gigs? And in 2020, there were no gigs. And I got all tied up in a knot because I was like, if I'm not gigging, if I'm not playing the violin, then who am I?
Yeah.
And so part of something that I felt I really needed to learn, that yes, I am a violinist and a musician, but that is not only who I am. And that has helped me to get perspective on what I do with music, and helped me to go and better nourish, you know, my spirit, and grow and teach myself things and get educated on things, so that I become more of a whole person, where violin and music is not the whole thing. It's a smaller part of it.
Oh, I feel that. That's the whole lockdown actually is what made me seek therapy to begin with. It was like all of the things that made me who I am were stripped away, and I was losing myself, and I knew I was gonna start taking it out on my family. Like, they don't need that side of me. And I was like telling my wife, I was like, I know it's illegal right now. Like, they took the basketball basketball hoops off the courts at our local spot because we were all going there anyway. Like, we just needed some sort of outlet to play. And even the police were sensible. Like, when they were like, look, we know you guys are doing the wrong thing. We're supposed to only have 5 people. There was like 20. And they were like, just put masks on while you're waiting, and then go in and do your thing. And it was cool. But then when like Dan put the battery in everyone's back saying we're going harder, they just took the whole ring down. And like, and that's just one aspect. You know, I used to teach boxing, and the kids that I used to teach were like really enjoying my company and really enjoying, like, even though whether they learned something or not, they were having fun, and they were coming to a place where it was safe, and I was teaching them little bits and pieces, and they were getting a workout, all for them to just say, look, we got to close everything down. You can't come in. And like, there was one of the kids like had a really, really life-changing thing that happened to him during the lockdown, and the only thing he was coming to was the boxing sessions. He wasn't even going to school, he wasn't going home, but somehow he was showing up at these things, and then for them to take it away, I was heartbroken for them. And so now all of that to me, what was like weighing on me, and then what I'm supposed to smile at my family and be like, everything's all right, and I was like, it's not. I really need to do something to regulate these emotions, or else it's going to come out in the wrong ways. Can't perform, I can't box, I can't play basketball, and I love you guys, and I've got you guys here, and at least I'm not by myself, you know, like I'm not in the house by myself. That's a whole nother thing, and I'm grateful, but I have to do that. Yeah,
well, good call, I reckon. Therapy is just maintenance, isn't it? You've got to look after our mind and our bodies.
Yeah, it was great practice, like, to be able to just like tackle something, you know. We've got so many things we got going on. It's like to sit there with your own mind and be like, yeah, I wonder why I was triggered by that guy.
Yeah, let me be anxious about it and stressed.
Yeah. I'll just put it in the background, and then whenever someone else crosses me, I'll just take that out on that person.
Yeah. That's how it works. Thanks for sharing all that with me. That was amazing. No, you were like just really old, and you were like in a lovely, like comfortable bed,
and you're
Thank
surrounded
you.
by all your loved ones, and you could pick your last meal.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I don't know what made me, I don't know why my desensitized brain went, oh yeah, you're in prison, you got the death sentence in
You're on the death sentence. Oh my gosh.
Realize that the car has been running flat. Can't feel if I'm not attached.